Welcome everyone to this Astro Journeys webinar. Meanwhile, we are waiting for more people to join. We had 40 people subscribing to the webinar, but at this moment, we are only, I think, 7. We are few, but we are good. So let's start. Just some informations for today. The webinar will last for more or less 40 minutes, and it will count with a presentation of Rosa Duran. It is a recorded presentation because unfortunately she could not join, but she has sent she has sent a recording presentation for us so we can all discuss these issues about interdisciplinarity and also this innovative learning at schools and in other settings also. Just a brief information about the project. As you know, this is a webinar offered by the project's Astro Journeys. So I will put here the link. This project wants to support educational settings, formal and informal educational settings in developing journeys that have in their center the big ideas in astronomy. So if you know those big ideas, these ideas are 11 ideas. They're about, they are centered not only in astronomy, but they are very interdisciplinary ideas. That's why we focus the project on these. We start these educational journeys. We start from these big ideas, and then we realize that they are quite interdisciplinary, that we can teach, starting from these ideas, we can teach very different topics. So just to share a little bit my screen. Well, if you are not familiar with big ideas, we also had a webinar. Can you see the big ideas in your screen?
Yes.
Yes. So big idea 1, astronomy is one of the oldest science in human history. Big idea 2, astronomical phenomena can be experienced in our daily lives. Big idea 3, the night sky is rich and dynamic. Of course, all of these ideas have sub-ideas. If you want to look at them, you can find them in the link that I put in the chat. There's a lot of sub-ideas that you can explore, that you can see that they are very related to your curricula also. Big ideas 4, astronomy is a science that studies celestial objects and phenomena in the universe. Big idea 5, astronomy benefits from and stimulates technology development. The big idea 6 is about cosmology, is the science of exploration, the universe as a whole. A lot of philosophy teachers also use this idea to teach their subjects. The big idea 7, we all live on a small planet within the solar system. 8, we are all made of stardust. There are hundreds of billions of galaxies in the universe. And then we explore the idea of a galaxy. We may not be alone in the universe. And finally, we must preserve Earth, our only home in the universe. A lot of science teachers, biology teachers also use this big idea and the sub-ideas that are connected to it, to these ideas, to teach their subjects. So just just a wrap up about this. This Astro Journeys project wants to support you in your educational setting, wants to support your students also in developing ideas that are innovative, that are transdisciplinary, that are also connected with the real world and with their interests and their expectations and also different values. Without further ado, if you have any question about Astro Journeys project, you can also put in the chat. Before starting, I will make a challenge. I am going to invite each one of you to write in the chat 3 topics that you will need to teach during the next month. So you have your curricula very present now, and please write in the chat three topics that you will need to teach during the next month, that you will need to teach with your students during the next month. Okay, we already have some questions. So we already have some topics. Sundial, Earth and sky movements, constellations, moon surface, Fernando Sanchez. Yes, 3 topics. So Rincudas, you can also put more topics. Stars, Big Bang, and galaxies. Very well. Formation of solar system. Those are ideas that are very directly connected with astronomy, with the big ideas in astronomy also. Very well. Earth and planet movements, Big Bang, types of stars, eclipses, and we will have one this year in August, which is always a very special moment, a sun eclipse, a solar eclipse. Okay, okay. Let's keep these topics in mind. Let's keep these topics in mind. Equinox, very well. Let's keep these topics in mind. And now let's hear Rosa Duran presentation, and then we will get back together. We'll get back together and we will do a small activity where we could put in place all these topics in an interdisciplinary way. Those are very linked to the discipline of astronomy, of physics. Probably you are a science teacher, so you are teaching these kind of topics. We still don't see here a lot of interdisciplinarity, but if you are a science teacher, biology teacher, technology teacher, or if you are teaching other subjects, please don't be shy. Also put your topics here. Can you see the presentation? Can you see the presentation?
Yeah, we see it.
Yes.
Yes, great, thank you. Let's start by and then let's try to start again because it seems like the sound is not working. Just a moment. Just let me know if you can hear the sound in the presentation. If you cannot hear, please also let me know, okay?
Hello everyone, my name is Rosa Doran and I'm from Núcleo, one of the partners of the project Astro Journeys. I'm very sorry that I couldn't be in person here with you today to present inquiry-based learning, but as they say, life is what happens while we make other plans, right? So it's my privilege to present to you this very important topic. I think that you have been doing some activities to understand the importance and how easy it is to work interdisciplinary in an interdisciplinary format with your colleagues. And now I want to introduce you to the other part of an innovative learning experience for the students, which is when we use inquiry-based learning. This is not a new methodology, most of you probably already know that. It's a methodology that has been used for many, many years, since the 60s, and it's already validated, verified, and we know that it really works, and that when you expose your students to inquiry-based learning, they learn more deeply and they are more motivated to engage with the subject that you want them to work with. But before we dive into the world of inquiry-based learning, or IBL for short, let's remind ourselves a little bit about something very important for scientists, the scientific method. Well, how does it work? It starts with a curiosity, a question that a scientist wants to answer. So it starts with observation, identifying what part of the problem that I'm interested or the curiosity that I have is worth investigating. Then the scientist will make a hypothesis, something that can be testable, that can be predicted somehow. In order to prove their hypothesis, they design and build an experiment where they will gather data. And with this data, they will analyze, they will look for patterns in the data, and they will look for answers in the data. They will reach a conclusion and either validate their hypothesis or reject their hypothesis and start the process all over again. After doing that, they will discuss this hypothesis with other colleagues. They will share their findings and maybe find other answers for the questions, for the same questions that they were posing. And this is how the scientific method works. You go around these phases and you shift from one phase to the other, and you can go back, you can do the hypothesis again and experiment, you analyze the data, you can do the hypothesis or build the experiment again. It's just a series of activities or tasks that we do until we conclude, we are happy with the conclusion, we share with others our findings, and we discuss to further advance the knowledge about a certain subject, okay? So this is the scientific method. Well, If you use it in the classroom when you are facilitating learning to your students, we call it inquiry-based learning. So basically, inquiry-based learning is the use of the scientific method in the classroom as a tool to learn content. So this already answered the first question, what is it, right? So you now know what is inquiry-based learning in the classroom. How is it implemented? Well, it's by organizing the learning opportunities for the student in a way that they can follow the steps of the scientific method. They will identify a topic of interest, or you will provide to them a topic in which they have to develop their learning skills. You will invite them to make their hypothesis, to propose an experiment to validate their data, to acquire the data, conclude, discuss with colleagues, etc., etc., etc. So this is how it is implemented. And what is the content that you can deliver with that? Well, I will leave this for the next slide. Basically everything, everything that requires critical thinking, you can deliver by using this methodology. It's a very powerful methodology. Which technology you should introduce and why? Well, we will go that at a later stage in the presentation. So we have here a series of images, and I'm counting clockwise. Image 1, the child handling the leaves. Image 2, the baby with the spaghetti. Image 3, the lady with the shampoo in her hand, or whatever is it that she has in her hand. Number 4, the doctor. And number 5, the child making a big tantrum. And before we proceed, I want to give you 1 minute to write down on the chat which of these images do you think is inquiry-based learning? Reminding you, curiosity, hypothesis, remember previous knowledge, collecting data, analyzing the data, concluding. Take a look at it and tell me which of these do you think is inquiry-based learning. I give you 1 minute. It's almost 1 minute, and I'll ask my colleague to check if people are writing on the chat. If they are not, maybe you can stop the recording and wait until people have time to reply, and then come back to this presentation. So, let's reflect together on what we saw. Image number 1. There is a child collecting leaves. Is the child curious about what is there? Of course, you can see immediately in the picture, right? Is the child making any hypothesis? Probably in their little mind, it is thinking, what is this? Maybe it's food, maybe there's a bug down there. Is the child collecting data? Of course, touching, experimenting, right? Is the child going to analyze and conclude? Probably bringing to the mouth or smashing it somehow. The child is learning about that particular leaf or little bug that the child is handling. And maybe we'll share with the parents, look what I found, right? So it is inquiry-based learning, right? Well, I don't need to say anything about the spaghetti. This is a scientist experimenting, right? Look at the baby, how happy the baby is experimenting with spaghetti, with pasta, right? What about the lady with this, let's say, shampoo? What is the lady doing? Well, reading what is said in the box. Why is this inquiry? Well, certainly this person is curious to know what's inside the box, what's the composition of that particular product. Next, that person will think, well, I think this might be what I need. So my hypothesis is that if I take this and I use it in my hair, for instance, my hair will be exactly as it says in the box. So the lady will take it home and build an experiment, which is washing her hair. After that, she will collect the data. Did it do what it said it did? No, all my hair fell down. No. Then, okay, it wasn't good. It was a very bad hypothesis, and my experiment showed me that I made a wrong hypothesis, so I have to go into another hypothesis or buy or search for another product for my hair. It is inquiry-based learning, right? What about the doctor? Is this inquiry-based learning? Well, the doctor looks to the lady is saying, oh, my throat is aching. And the doctor is saying, well, did you have any fever? No, I didn't have any fever. Well, it hurts. Where does it hurt? It hurts when you breathe, it hurts when you cough. So the doctor is making a hypothesis, collecting data, analyzing the data, and reaching a conclusion, discussing with the patient, right? So it is inquiry. What about the tantrum? Well, it could be simply cognitive overload. The child is tired and just need to cry and sleep. So it's not inquiry. But also could be something like, if I throw myself in the floor and cry, my mom will give me what I want, right? So could be, or maybe couldn't, I don't know. We needed to explore more. We needed more data to conclude, right? So these are some examples on how inquiry-based learning is used in our lives. Even if you're voting for a politician, right? Are you curious about the politician? Yes, I am. So are you going to vote for that politician? I don't know. I have to go and see what that politician is saying. My hypothesis after reading is that it's a good politician. But wait, let me collect some data. Is this politician known for someone that actually does what he says or she says that he or she is doing? Is this politician someone that I could or should properly trust? And so on and so forth, right? So in the end, I try my hypothesis and I collect data. Was the politician someone that did what I thought he would do or not? And discussed with colleagues. So critical thinking is what you are stimulating. These are the skills that you are developing when you engage in inquiry-based learning, or you engage the students in inquiry-based learning. You are teaching them not to take the word of others about something, to experiment with their own minds and their own hands and their own ideas, and also using preconceived information, okay? So how do you do this in class?
Now I'm going to share the meeting point. Okay. Only have to take meeting point 1 hour to prioritize.
Well, let's start with the first step. Actually, inquiry-based learning can have several steps. You will find inquiry-based learning that is divided in 5 steps, in 6 steps, in 10 steps, in 20 steps. It doesn't matter. The idea is the same. So you can develop the one or use the one with which you are very comfortable with, okay? So the first thing, people tell me very often, but inquiry-based learning takes a little or a lot more time than expositive teaching. True story. It takes more time. There's nothing you can do about that. It takes more time to use inquiry-based learning. But you might at least use a few of the steps. And the first one, to my opinion, the most important one, is the orientation part, because here is where you prepare the moment where you are going to present the new things to your students. You are going to refresh their previous knowledge. You are bringing them from their comfort zone. They need to be comfort to embark in this new adventure. So you go as far back as necessary to retrieve the knowledge that they will need to understand this new topic, okay? The second thing that you should be aware is that you should never give answers to questions that the students don't have. Right? So create the questions, create the curiosity, make them feel curious about the topic that you are about to engage them with. And create curiosity before diving in. Make them feel interested in the topic. How can you do that? Well, you can show a video, you can talk about things on our daily life that are of interest, some articles, some piece of news, something that will make them understand that that thing that they are going to do is indeed interesting and that they will enjoy that. Next comes the part of the conceptualization, and here is where they will ask the questions, or you can pose some questions to help them, is where they will build their hypothesis and they will plan how they are going to test their hypothesis. Okay, this is the part when they will build their experiments and they will think, not build, but they will design the concept. How am I going to acquire data, and which kind of data do I need to acquire in order to confirm my hypothesis? And this is a part that the tutoring of the teacher is very, very important. So the students can actually combine the hypothesis with the tools that they will have available to collect data and confirm or not their hypothesis. The next step is the research part. This is where they will explore sources and methods to obtain their data. They will do their experimentation, hands-on data gathering. They will collect the data. They will have to learn about quality collection and where, how, and how much they need to collect, and to interpret the data and find meaning to the data that they've collected. They might have to do this part number of times, again and again, and you can actually do the orientation part in the classroom and ask them to perform the rest of the activity at home or with colleagues or in groups. So there are multiple ways that you can deliver this methodology while you're handling the topics with the students, right? Now, after they interpret the data, they will have to compare it with the hypothesis, right? Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is the part where they will draw the conclusion. So they will review and reflect on the data that they have collected. They will compare their conclusions with the hypothesis that they created, and they will ask themselves, did the evidence support my hypothesis, or it didn't? Would I do something differently next time? So was my data comparable to the ones that my colleague retrieved? So all these considerations are important when they are concluding. If the data didn't confirm their hypothesis, they can go back and change the hypothesis and try again to see if changing some variables, if the process continued in a better way. They will learn also that they cannot vary two variables at the same time, otherwise they won't know what was the reason for the change to occur, right? So this is a step-by-step procedure, step-by-step process. And once they are happy with their conclusion, they move to the next step. The next step is the discussion. So they will share their findings with their peers. They will discover if there are other possible answers to the phenomena they were analyzing, and they will, if possibly, connect to real-world applications. So they will make connections with everyday life. Okay, this is the same thing as sharing. This is the same procedure that scientists will do. They have to share their discoveries. They have to discuss with others and find out if there could be other explanations for the phenomena or the issue that they are analyzing, that they are studying. And this is very important for the student to make these analysis and discussions with the group. Okay. So far, so good. I ask my colleague, please, if you have any questions, maybe stop the presentation a little bit and see if there is any questions or any comment that the audience would like to make. Now, let's go to the tools that you can use in order to engage the students with inquiry-based learning. Of course, there's a multitude of tools that can be used. But I prepared a slide with a few of them just to tell you how easy it is to integrate innovative tools. You can integrate AI if you want, of course, although AI is not part of my slide, but you can integrate any tool that you want, that you think, that you consider, that will enrich the student experience. So here I put the scientific method in an inquiry perspective, right? So you want to start with questions. You want to start igniting the curiosity with the students. You can present a YouTube video, as I said in the beginning. Or you can have a Padlet and ask them to bring some data about something like, for instance, is the river near my house clean or not? Okay, go collect some sample, take some pictures to see if it is clean or not and put in a Padlet. Go to Wikipedia, okay? Wikipedia is the next step, the conceptualization and hypothesis, where they go get some data about the topic they are about to study. You can use a Kahoot to help them with the conceptualization, to help remember things that are going to be necessary, previous knowledge that are going to be necessary for this phase of their work. You can use a Mentimeter, same thing. Now, in the part where they plan an investigation, you can suggest tools that you have in the lab, in the school. You can use things that exist in a kitchen. They can use toys. They can use whatever is the material that they desire to use in the research process. You can use PhET simulations. You can use Concord simulations. You can use Stellarium. Whatever kind of tools and resources that you think are important to help the students collect and analyze the necessary data for prove or disprove their hypothesis. Then they collect the data and analyze the data. They can do that, for instance, in a Word document, in a Google Sheet, in a Padlet, wherever you think it's more useful for what they're going to do. Then they conclude and verify if the results are connected, are proving their hypothesis or not, if they have to do all the process again or not, and then they make a final presentation of their conclusion, and then they can discuss this with others. Actually, this slide was produced during COVID, and that's why you have here Zoom, because sometimes they were not able to compare results in the classroom, so they could do that online. And that could be done, for instance, if your students are going to work together with students from other countries. For instance, if they go analyze the temperature or the composition of the soil in the garden of the school, and they want to compare it across the world with children from other European countries or countries in Africa, in Asia, South America, and they want to compare the results, they can use the same procedure and use Zoom to compare the results and to communicate with each other. This is actually very, very powerful. Well, inquiry-based learning can be done in several steps, as I already said, but also in many, many different manners. People are a little bit divided in how to categorize the different levels of inquiry. But you can say, okay, an inquiry is structured when the teacher is guiding very closely all the steps that the students are taking. And the teacher provides the question, the model, the method, the materials, and the students will find the answer. I find it that if the student don't have the possibility to change at least one variable, it's not inquiry-based learning, it's just the reproduction of an experiment, okay? So to me, structured inquiry is when the teacher provides everything, but for instance, imagine that you were talking about a cake, chocolate cake, and you would tell the students, okay, I want to know if this chocolate cake is any good. Here is how you're going to do it. This is the recipe, but I don't know how many eggs, and students will have to find it out. So they have some levels, some some ownership to change at least one of the variables. This is very structured, and you will not lose control of your students when you're using this method. It's an ideal one if you're not feeling confident in starting using inquiry-based learning. This is a very good method to get you started. The second one is guided inquiry, where the teacher will provide a question, but the students will design and conduct the investigation. Here, for instance, the student can say, the teacher can say, you're going to make a cake, a chocolate cake. And that's it. You are not providing anything, any other guidance, okay? This can lead you to some more open or more varied results, and the students might reach out to some results that you didn't expect and that you don't know how to explain, which is totally fine. You can together investigate and reach out to conclusion for their inquiry. Or you can do it open, which is students will generate the question, they will design the method, and they will draw their own conclusions. So it's like you tell, okay guys, make a cake. I don't care which type of cake. Okay, so it's different levels of freedom that you give to the students when you are engaging them in inquiry-based learning. There is no right or wrong here. It doesn't matter how you intend to expose your students to the topic. You can adapt it and it's important that you and your students feel comfortable with it. Needless to say that when you start with it, you might feel uncomfortable, and your students will feel very uncomfortable because usually they want to know what's the answer. You know, what's that answer by the end of the book? I don't know if I'm doing it right or wrong, and they are usually very scared of making mistakes. And this is the thing that you need to prevent. Prevent your students from feeling uncomfortable to making mistakes. Making mistakes is a good thing, it's not a bad thing. This is how you learn. So you should build your own confidence and build the confidence of your students as well while you are engaging them in inquiry-based learning. So I hope this was understandable, that you could understand and interact with the topic while I was talking. Here are my contacts in case you have any question, and my colleague Sarah is here with you also to support you to better understand and navigate inquiry-based learning, and we are here to help you all the time. Don't hesitate, please. And yeah, we hope to see you again with us very, very soon. Thank you for listening to us.
So, can you hear me now? Yes.
Yes.
So, thank you so much for attending. One of the questions that we would like to leave you is to think about the topics. Think about the topics that you shared in the beginning, and think how you can teach them in an interdisciplinary and innovative way with other colleagues, with other subject areas. This is the question that we would like to leave you. And with that question, we will now open. We will now open, if you have any questions, also to make. Otherwise, we will leave you with that question, how you can also use the topics of your curricula to teach in the interdisciplinary way. And if please use the chat if you want to make any other questions or to raise any other issue. If not, thank you so much. Have wonderful inquiry-based learning and innovative teaching experiences. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.